I'm going to take you through the journey of Quran City. So I've been teaching or trying to learn from children. Wrong to say I've been teaching. Trying to learn from children for the past, I don't know, we were just looking today at when we started Ramadan classes. It was 1988 when we first started the first class, okay? And every time we did the Quran and you wanted to illustrate it to children, it was either the Ark of Noah or the stick of Musa or something they could draw. And nothing taught them a whole overview of Quran. And I remember one day sitting in I have a shed, to sit in it with lots of Lego around me. And I built 114 buildings, and that literally was the start. And then we tried to make it into a city. So if you look, you've got yellow and green roofs. Can you see them? Yellow is Makki and green is Madani. Okay? The Makki surahs mainly concentrate on the why of religion. And the Madani concentrate on the how. We actually built it with Lego, right? And then it was enhanced by Zara over there. And she made it into this big Lego thing. Zara, raise your hand. I've seen Zara here since she was that high, maybe 4, okay? But it began as building something. So yellow and green you've got. Then we decided, let's try and put them into like suburbs of a city. So we looked at the way the Prophet designed Medina. We looked at the morphology of Medina and looked at how he had built it. So that was one way of looking at it. Then we looked at the openings of each of the chapters. I'll say surah, and I mentioned this the other day, that when I say surah, and I remember I said it for the first time here many years ago, I mean, I got letters from every single place to say I was insulting the Quran. Because in Gujarati, surah means a pig. In Arabic, it's the plural of surah. So now I say surahs and chapters. Please don't write to me. I have enough letters as it is, okay? So we started looking at the fawatih, or the opening of the surahs. And then we tried to make this into suburbs. So I need you to look at this. You start off with the city center. You've got 4 surahs, 25, 96, 97, 98. One tells you who you become if you recite the Quran and who you become if you don't. Alaq tells you how the Quran was revealed, Qadr, when, and Bayyina what. And then using that, we put all the other suburbs in. I'm going to go over them sometime later. They're all connected by a road system called M14, which represents the Masumin. Okay, but today we're going to focus on Huruf al-Muqatti'at area. It's probably the largest area there. 29 surahs of the Quran begin with Huruf al-Muqatti'at. Now do you remember? Harf, letter. Huruf, plural, letters. Muqatti'at, conveniently, the English language says cut. Qata'a means to cut, but English language says cut, as in cut, abbreviated. So these are 29 chapters of the Quran begin with abbreviations. So you will have Alif Lam Mim Ra, Alif Lam Sad, Alif Lam Ra, Ta Ha Yasin, Ta Sin Mim, Ta Sin, and then you have 3 singles, Noon, Qaf, and Sad, and the longest one, Qaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad. Now, lots of reasons the Mufassirin give us for these. Why were they there? First of all, 14 letters of the alphabet. The Arabic alphabet has 28 letters. Now you can't forget 14 because you've got M14, you've got the 14 Masumin. So 14 letters of the alphabet in 14 different combinations form Huruf al-Muqatti'at. I mean, people have written books and books and books and books to tell you. Some say it is Asma'ul Husna. Please don't worry about your children running around or talking. That's what they do. If they didn't do it, who would? Just leave them. That's what they're supposed to do. If they didn't, I'd worry about them. Okay? All right. So, 14 letters of the alphabet and 14 different combinations. Why? I mean, you could go through all the books. Somebody says it is talking about the attributes of God. Some say, different things. In fact, there's a write-up about Qaf, Ha, Ya, Ain, Sad being representation of Karbala. Allahu Ya'lam. I don't know. All I know is that with the Arabs, who were very, very particular about literature, they were like, experts in literature. this caught their attention. Nobody had started talking about something with the letters. What they're about. Strange. It caught their attention. It was like, oh my goodness, what is that? It was like a headline. It's just like if you read a newspaper headline, it catches your eye. And the more catchy it is, the more you're likely to read about it, right? I'll give you an example. I know I'm being recorded, but that's okay. So many, many years ago, when my son, who is now, he's got 4 children, I think he's about 38 now. Okay, so ages ago. So I probably got his age wrong and he'll get mad at me. But when he was very, very young, maybe about 3 or 4, I had one of the radio stations come and interview me. And I remember them saying to me, what would you do if your son did something against Islam? I said, I don't understand what you mean. And they said, well, what if he killed someone? Or what if he engaged in an activity that Islam did not agree with? So I said, well, if it came to hurting another human being, I would definitely see him take the punishment for it. That's the way I am. So if you were to hurt another human being, for example, if you were to murder another human being, then you would have to go through the punishment that is entailed for it. He was very, very young. He was sitting near me. And then they talked about something about sexuality, okay? And it was over. The whole interview was about something else at all. The headline, or the way they introduced the program on radio was, "Mother willing to see her child killed for engaging in some different sexual activity." I didn't say that. But the very fact that they put that headline out, the program at that time, and today you've got all these social media things where you know how many people watched it. And people tuned into that radio from everywhere, just because that was the headline. So this is a headline. This is like, oh my goodness, huruf al-muqatti'at. Why does Allah start with alif lam mim? Why alif lam ra? Why taha? Why yasin? So on and so forth. Okay? So when you look at huruf al-muqatti'at, headlines, 29 surahs of the Quran, which is more than a quarter of the Quran, begins with these ayat. Now we divided these. So if you look at your map, you will see you've got mimat. Can you see that? Oh, by the way, there's only 3 Madani surahs. 26 of them are Makki and 3 are Madani. So you look at mimat, you've got 7 surahs which begin with alif, lam, mim. Are you good with that? 2, 3, you know, is Madani. 7 and then 29, 30, 31, 32. Hawamim begin with Hamim. These are known as the gift of the Quran. And the Prophet was gifted. He said, these were given to me. No other prophets got them. One of the surahs, 42, has Hamim, Ain, Sin, Qaf. We're not going into the pedantics of this. It's not our topic at the moment. Then you have the singles. They're all alone, 38, 50, and 68. So you got Sad, Qaf, and Qalam. I need you to remember that Qalam is 68. How you remember? I don't care. You need to tell me Qalam is 68. Do you think you can do that? Okay, I'll tell you how to remember later on. Tawasin starts with Tasin. Okay, and it's also Tasin Mim is part of this. So 27 is Tasin Mim, then 26 and 28 is Tasin. And then Ra'at is Alif Lam Ra. Now we're going to look at that singles and we're going to look at Qalam, which is 68. Are you good with that? You're good with Noon and you're good with Qalam, right? Qalam is a pen. There's nobody here who doesn't know that. So as long as you can identify yourself with Huruf al-Muqatti'at area, and by the way, you'll see Taha and Yasin are in the middle because they talk about the Prophet. Taha is the name of the Prophet, Yasin is the name of the Prophet, and Maryam is part of Women's Corner, but we've put it in between Huruf al-Muqatti'at and Women's Corner. Are you good? That's 29 surahs there. So today we're going to look at Suratul Qalam, which is surah number 68, right? Are you good with that? Okay. Can I have the next slide, please? So hopefully they will be able to change the slides for us and we'll be able to see it. So Suratul Qalam is the pen. It's a Makki surah. Hopefully somebody will change the slides. Femina, can we have the slides changed, please? Okay, so that's Surah Al-Qalam up there. You can see it's part of the singles corner, or singles place, you can call it. And it's a Makki surah. The reason why, the way you know it's Makki is because it's yellow, at least from Quran City. Okay. And we've divided the surah into 6 sections. We're going to look at each section as we go along. Hopefully we'll get somewhere. What I need you to do, or try and do, is try and memorize a little bit of the surah. I don't mean memorize it without knowing the meaning. Even if you didn't know the Arabic, at least you know something about what it's talking about. Okay? So we're going to do the first section today if we get time. Otherwise, we'll see how it goes. So we're going to start off first with the focus of the surah. Always you need to know what the surah focuses on. And if you look there, the first thing the surah says is the Prophet has got the highest moral character. Husn al-khulq, and the ayah actually says, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. That's ayah 4. You have the most awesome khuluq. Khuluq is how you deal with humanity. You and I are not judged by anything else. It's how you deal with humanity. Let me tell you a story. Prophet Isa. So there's Prophet Isa, and he's walking around, and he meets this group of people who are really thin, okay? And they're sort of a bit serious. And he says, what's the matter? Why do you look emancipated? I mean, they really look emancipated. Why are you emancipated? I'd probably tell them they've been fasting in London. But anyway, they said, why are you emancipated? And they said, we just connect to God because we're so scared of Jahannam. So scared of Jahannam. So he tells them, you will not go to Jahannam. You just won't. Then he meets another group of people. They're radiant. They're still very, very emancipated. And they say, well, we just connect to God because we just want Jannah. We want to go to Jannah. That's what we want. That's our goal in life. We want Jannah. And he said, you will get there. You'll go there. And then he saw a third group of people. By the way, not emancipated. That doesn't mean if you're thin, there's a problem. No. They were just happy. You know, like happy people. No stress, no nothing. They were good. They were happy. And he said, I don't even want to know what you do because just looking at you, I fall in love with you. And they said, well, you got to ask us why we're like this. And he said, okay, why are you so lovable? And they said, because we just love God. We just love him, right? So with you and me, when Imam Ali said, live with people so they want to be with you and die so that they cry for you, that's what it's about. It's how you respond to people, how you smile at them, how you do something for them, how you pick up something for them, all the rest of it. We were just talking just now. We were packing the tabarruk over there with Fatim. She's listening because she's on the other side of the thing. And we've been saying this for years. I told you we started this in 1988. And we've been saying this for years. We said, time for us to go. You know, it's time to leave. I know you're shaking your head. But time for us to leave. It's for you young people to start taking over, sorting this out. Don't look at me like that, okay? And sorting out your own speakers between 5 and 5:30. Because our kids have grown up. We started off very selfishly because we didn't trust our kids to anyone in the month of Ramadan. We really wanted them to learn. So we started off this and we keep on saying that. But then on the other hand, something tells me that when Allah accepts something, he allows you to do it the year after. So you'll probably see me for a while. Okay, so... No, but you need to be able to understand. That's what it's about. That's what it's really about. It's about serving humanity. So when he says he has the best character, that's what he means. He was just awesome with human beings. He smiled at them. When children were there, he would tell their parents, don't come and pick them up. Don't hug them until the orphans have gone, because they don't have anybody to hug them. That's the sort of man he was. When he sat eating with someone, he began first and he ended last. He always said salam first. He always smiled. Look at the seerah of the Prophet. Just look at it. He's not this angry person who judges people and tells them off and, oh, I don't know, all the things we do. We look at somebody and say, oh my God, her. Really? That's not what it's about. So this surah is all about him having, the ayah says, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. The way you deal with humanity, oh my goodness, that's awesome. You and I are not going to be remembered by what we wore, what we had, not even our kids. They'll, believe me, you've got them here, they're dependent on you. When they're like mine now range from 42 to, oh my goodness, 22. And then there's 9 grandkids. I mean, they get on with their lives. They really do. You just want them to get on with their lives. They're not going to be there. Not like they're dependent on you now. And it'll hurt. You just have to look at them and let them get on with it. So, Khuluqin Azim is how you deal with other human beings. How do you serve? What do you do? You all walked in today. I'm sorry, I'm going to say this because at the end of the day, I'm a grandma, okay? And I'm 64 and I say things as they are. You watched Fatim struggle trying to pack those tabarruk. The good thing to do was to just come and help. Just say, you know what, can I do that? When you leave here, you see something on the floor, pick it up. I walked in today, and I walked in about 4:05, not too late. There were shoes all over the place. You just have to pick them up and put them on the shelves because somebody is going to trip over. It will be one of our children, right? That's what khulq is about. Tell you a story that I say all the time. 23 years ago, I was 9 months pregnant. I gave birth to Asya in Ramadan. And I remember we were upstairs. And I remember somebody had vomited on the carpet. A child, because when children fast, they do some funky things. And I was bending over that, cleaning it up. And this young mom stepped over me. She went, ew, that stinks. Okay, I've asked her that I can tell you the story, and I do that every year. And she walked away. 5 minutes later, she came back and she said, that was my son. Can I help? Really? So if it was your son, you're going to help me. But if it is somebody else's child, there's me with a stomach way out, trying to bend down and clean it. And these are little things that you need to help out with. When you go in the car park, when you see things, pick them up. That's what khulq is about. That's what it's about. When you see a mother struggling with 3 children, help her. At the end of the day, that's what we're here for. So that's when he says that the Prophet has the highest moral character. It's literally not how many salahs he prayed, how many fasts he kept. It's how he dealt with human beings. The quality of your salah, the quality of your soul shows in the way you deal with human beings. That's number 1. Then you find in this surah, the first story that Allah ever told. Don't look so grim. It's okay? Smile. The first story he ever told, which is the story of the garden, and we'll come to it in section 3. And he talks about that story, and that's the first story. He also talks about, he warns those who reject divinity. And you see there is a checklist in section 2 as to what these people are like. Now, it's not about looking at somebody else and saying, well, you're like that. It's actually looking within and saying, do I do any of these things? Is it part of what I do? And if it is, this is the month to get rid of it. You know that when you break your fast with your date and you say, or your salt or whatever, Ya wasi al-maghfira, ighfirli. At that moment, tell him, can you forgive all my sins? And he will. He will forgive every sin except one that is with other human beings. Go and say sorry. We talked about it yesterday. Sorry doesn't cost a lot, but it goes a long way. And by the way, if somebody comes up and says, sorry, I talked about you, don't say, what did you say? Because you're reenacting the whole thing, okay? Just accept it as it is. Okay, so that's basically is the focus, and I think you've got it on there. Now we're going to go into the first part, the huruful muqatta'at. So the first ayah says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Noon. I love Noon. Absolutely adore it. So if you can imagine Noon to be a pot of divine energy. You know what? Noor is divine energy. It's not just light. And you imagine this pot of divine energy from which you draw strength to lead your life. If you don't take from that pot of divine energy, then you're a bit dull. You don't have that smile. You don't have that noor. It doesn't work. Oh, by the way, in the first Ramadan, did you splash rose water on your face? Do it today then. Okay? Do it to your children. It keeps them away from diseases. It increases radiance. It's the best facial you could have. It really is. It works. It works better than your contouring and your makeup. Oh, you think I didn't know about it? Okay, my kids do it. So all that, splash rose water, has an amazing effect. So Noon is divine energy. Okay? So the first ayah of Surah Al-Qalam, Noon, you know it is Makki, you know it has 52 ayat, and it is Surah number 68. You know that much, right? Noon, imagine this pot of divine energy. We will come to Dhun Noon, or we'll come to Prophet Yunus, and we'll come to his story, and then I'll show you what happens to a fish when it's out of water. It curls up like a noon. That's why a fish is known as Dhun Noon, or a noon, right? But that's later. Right now, Noon is your pot of divine energy. Now let's see what happens. So it starts off with Noon. Can I have the next slide, please? So Noon, and then wal qalami wa ma yasturun. Noon, my pot of energy. Now Allah swears. Again, when He swears, it is taking the attention of all these people, because the Arabs had a place. I mean, they had a custom. If they wanted people to get attention, they would say, "I swear by the flower," and people would know that this guy wants to say something really important. So Allah uses that same habit of theirs, but changes it. Because we find that what He swears by is then elaborated in the surah. So here He says, Wal kalam, I swear by the pen. Wama yasturun. Oh, you got it. And what is continually written by them. So your pen and my pen continually writes about us. Here, every time huruful muqatti'at comes, the next ayah is about the Quran. So we're gonna keep that in mind and know that this is talking about the pen of the Quran and what it writes. So let's go back. Early surah, 68 is a very early surah. Let's go back to what happened in history. You find the Prophet is abused. You're crazy. You're trying to change our way of life. You want to get rid of everything. Makkah depends. Its economic stability depended on the idols. You want to take the idols away. That's taking our whole economy away. If I told you right now, maybe your husbands, maybe you, I don't know, that the whole banking system is going to be taken out and you're going to get no interest at all. You might say, yay, no mortgage interest, okay? But those of you who have lots of deposits will say, are you serious? Nothing. You mean I'm going to get nothing? Yeah, you're going to get nothing. So at that time, for the Prophet to say these idols are not good, it's taken away the economic stability of Makkah, because all the tribes brought their idols in the Kaaba. And for them, that was the place that they would worship. And they thought that was bringing them prosperity. And Makkah was the hub. It was like the center of economic, whatever you want to call it. And suddenly there comes this man who says, no, the most important part of life is TTC. Being truthful, being trustworthy, and being compassionate. You can't bully people. He was born in a place where if you did not meet up to the expectations of the people, they threw you out. If you did not in any way were compatible with the financial status of the people there, they sent you away from Makkah. If you are a girl child, they would bury you alive because they used and abused girls. And it was out of love. They didn't want to see their daughters used and abused. Quran says, وَإِذَا مَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ. The day of Qiyamah will be when the girl child will say, for what sin did you kill me? Why? Why did you cover me with all this and not teach me about God? That's what we're going to be asked, because we don't bury them. We bury them in materialism. So this was a society he was born in. They hated him. So here Allah says, Noon wal kalami wa ma yasturun. I swear by the pen and what it continuously writes. And oh Muhammad, they may call you mad, they may call you all the things, but the pens that write will eventually tell the truth. So have some confidence, you're okay. So how does it refer to you and me? There's lots of times in life when you and I don't understand things. And when we do things that we feel is right. And the world will tell you that's not right. But you know, standing on your musalla, putting your hand on your heart, that what you did was right. Don't worry about them. It's okay. As long as you're in line with divinity, it doesn't matter what people say. My goodness. You worry about what they say, they change their minds every single day. Every single day. Okay? So, وَالْقَلَمِ وَمَا يَسْطُرُونَ مَا أَنْتَ بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ بِمَجْنُونَ. So, مَا أَنْتَ بِنِعْمَةٍ. With the ni'mah, I think you've got to go up there. With the ni'mah of your Rabb is telling you, you are not mad. If you continually tell somebody something, they will start believing you. Continually tell your child that they're naughty, and they will be naughty. They'll prove it to you. It doesn't work like that. Child upbringing will tell you, what you tell your child continually, you're messy. They will be messy. I don't mean tell them they're not when they are. What I'm trying to say, have you watched X Factor? Oh, you don't, because you're really good people, right? If we watch X Factor, sometimes on X Factor you get people who can't sing and people laugh at them. They can't understand because their parents have always told them that they were good at singing. You have to highlight what's good with your children and with yourselves. You can't be what you're not. And what somebody tells you, you believe, especially those who love you. So the Prophet was continuously told, you're mad. And Allah is saying to him, مَا أَنْتَ بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ بِمَجْنُونَ. Your Rabb is telling you, you are not mad. What you're doing is right. He went completely against what protocol in that society did. Let me ask you a question. And this is going to be a little bit controversial. You don't have to answer, you just have to think about it. So you come to the mosque, I come to the mosque. I love this place, by the way. Absolutely adore it. So you come in, and then you listen to Hadith Qisa, and then you listen to Yasin on a Thursday night, then you listen to Dua al-Kamil, and then you listen to Ziyarat al-Waritha, and then you listen to a majlis, and there's pare and pare and pare and pare and pare. Is that what you want to subject your children to? Then why do you do it? It is your place to stand up and say, we need something which the children will understand. So when you say that, on the screen they put up a translation. And when you read the translation, you want to walk out. Because it is so scary. I wouldn't want my children to do that. I just wouldn't. I need them to understand life as it is. So the Prophet went, I'm not saying go and rebel. All I'm trying to say is that change things for your children, if not for yourself. You need to change it. Your Quran, I mean, how do you read it in the month of Ramadan? Yesterday we said, one ayah is equivalent to the whole Quran. Just understanding one, sitting down with your kids. That's what it's about. Okay, so, وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. So that's the fourth ayah, the next one. Next slide, please. And this is the crux of this section, okay? You have the most awesome way of dealing with humanity. I mean, I just love it. Can you just imagine for 1 minute that you've died? I really pray that you have the longest lives on the planet, okay? But just say you've died. And somebody from work, if you go to work, somebody from your friends, and somebody from your family was asked to stand up and impromptu talk about you. What would they say? Impromptu. No, they didn't have to prepare a speech, nothing. Somebody said, you knew her, come and stand here. What would they say? Your best bet would be they'd say, she smiled, she hugged, she loved, she was there for me. You don't want them to say, she wrote a thesis. Yeah, okay, that's good too. Write them, as many as you want. No, it doesn't make any difference. It's how you deal with. She made a difference in my life. She did something. That's what life is about. And that's why he's told, this is the greatest accolade that God gives him. He's a messenger. He brought the whole Quran. Absolutely everything you and I have today is Muhammad. Adhan, Muhammad. Kalima, Muhammad. Quran, Muhammad. Salawat, Muhammad. Is it not? Yet, this is the accolade he gives him. And the second accolade he gives him, he tells you, Ya Rahmatul Lil Alameen. You are the most compassionate to the world. So you know what? I don't know whether you say any things that you want to do in Ramadan. What do you call them? And you do them on the 1st of January, resolutions, right? So I don't know what resolutions you have. But maybe a resolution would be, I want to be kind. I want to be compassionate. When you describe me, I want that to be one of the first 3 adjectives. All right, pretty, all the rest of it. But one, you want kind there. You want trustworthy and kind, because truthful and trustworthy go together. So if you make that your goal and you keep on repeating it to your children, that's what you want them to be, that's what they're going to be. Okay, when it comes to truthful, I'm going to put a little bit of a proviso there. So I remember saying that to my children. What do you want, Mama? What do you want us to be? Doctors, dentists, whatever, that's good. It's okay. But I want you to be trustworthy, truthful, and compassionate. So I remember very, very specifically one day, I had 2 children then. One was 2.5 and one was just born. And the telephone rang. We didn't have the mobile phones. We had one of those old things. So I asked the 2.5-year-old to pick up the telephone. And I was nursing the little one. And she said, what do I say? And I said, can you please say Mama's not in, which was lying. And you tell her to be truthful. So she said, Mama, and I won't mention what she said, is giving milk to the baby from whatever, but she's saying she's not in. So she taught me a lesson. She actually taught me a lesson. And the lesson was that if you're telling them not to lie, you better stop as well. You better say things in a different way. And what do you say to them? You can't say, why did you say that? And there was a man on the other line, by the way. Okay. What do you do? So it's really important when you teach them how to be truthful or trustworthy, to be able to also teach them how to talk and to do the same yourself, right? Okay. So وَإِنَّكَ لَعَلَىٰ خُلُقٍ عَظِيمٍ. I can't stress this enough. Right, next ayah. فَسَتُبْصِرُوا وَيُبْصِرُونَ. So that's the next ayah. So you will see and they will see. So Muhammad, they might call you all these names. They're against you. They think you are crazy. They think you don't know what you're talking about. But soon they will see. And that in Islam is called sabr. And this whole surah, when you come to the end of it and you talk about dhunnun, you'll see it comes to sabr. And sabr doesn't mean patience, by the way. If you taught your child sabr was patience and there's something wrong. Sabr is perseverance. Sabr is just going on and on and on and on and not stopping and knowing that one day the result will come and it'll be good. It'll work out okay. It really will. I'm going to end because I need to continue this on Monday. I'll end you the story, and I hope most people remember with stories, that's what we're taught by the Aimah. So I have a son, as I told you, and my son is now a doctor. But to get him to that place was perseverance. I mean, he was sorry Jabir, I have to say this, but he was really lazy. For him to study, I mean, you had to sit there. I'll tell you what he did. He plastered all the walls with his notes. In his bedroom, he had washing lines running, and they had clipped all of them there. And he thought if he slept, they would all go into his head. Okay? So now come the final exams. And everybody's results came out, but he didn't get his result. I was in bits, and he was curled up on his bed. Oh, I failed. I've really failed. And I'm thinking, I sat with you day and night. You read Shab every single day with me. And before that, you studied. What happened? So the eldest daughter went to the university, queued outside when the office opened, just wanting to know what happened to his results. And they said, your son forgot to pay the library fee, so we will not give his results until he pays it. £1.20. 3 days of suffering. But persistence. The girls didn't have to be told. But the young man, oh my goodness me. Oh yes, he did get through, okay? But it's persistence, it's sabr. So if you think your child is not up to it academically or whatever, persist. They'll do it. They'll get there. And read Suratul Qalam. It has an amazing effect. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so I'm going to go 52 ayat, 68, Suratul Qalam, you'll remember Noon, and you'll remember at least the first few ayat. Is that good? Thank you. Okay. Let's end with Surah Al-Fatiha. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. صدق الله العظيم. Remember all our marhumin, especially those of your family. Remember those who are ill and those who are in trouble. Can we please stand up for ziyarah? Assalamu alayka ya Rasulallah. Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Assalamu alayki ya Fatimah al-Zahra, Sayyidat al-Nisa al-Alameen. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى أم المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي علت بفنائك. عليك مني سلام الله أبدا ما بقيت وبقي الليل والنهار ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين وعلى 9 المعصومين من ذريتك علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والحجة بن الحسن. أجل الله فرجه وسهل الله مخرجه وظهورك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل الساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتيه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.